car on the channel before, my 2002 Boxster S, and I love Boxsters. But I often ask, what would it be like to drive the ultimate version of the Boxster? So we're in the Spider RS now, and I have to say, I think I like it a little bit more than my Boxster, but they've come a pretty long way for the last 25 years. And I'm joined by my friend Noah. Noah, thank you so much for joining me.
It is my pleasure. I love sharing the car with whoever I can. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. Oh my God.
It's still exciting from the passenger seat.
Okay, that's a lot to process. All right, so a couple things. One of my questions is, how could you go from this? So this is the motor from the GT3. So we have a 4-liter, 493 horsepower.
Yeah. Although
with one of the greatest sounding engines I think I have ever experienced. How can you go from that? And Porsche says they're going to go fully electric in the next generation. That is just so mind-boggling.
Well, it seems like they're starting to backtrack on that statement a little bit. I think especially with the enthusiast cars.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry.
Your car is interrupting you.
Yeah. No, listen. I first and foremost, I will not complain about that. But also, I understand EVs and I get it and whatever. You can't beat that.
No.
I don't even know what to say. I'm at a loss for words with my own automobile. I should say the exhaust is not factory. It has over axle pipes and the rear section done over by the guys at Valvetronic. My buddy Brandon hooked it up. So
he's a fellow Rhode Islander, which is nice.
Yes, he is. We went to high school together.
Yeah.
Now he's in Pennsylvania doing his exhaust things, and fortunate enough that he helped me out with that system. So that transformed the car quite a bit.
Wow. Oh. So what is it like to drive the best and the most ultimate iteration of the Boxster? I mean, I'm sure you could tell by the smile on my face that I'm really enjoying it, but what I like about this car is it's actually super usable. So if I just put it in automatic, and if I turn off PDK Sport and turn off the exhaust, it's actually really, really comfortable and a really usable car.
So I will say from being fortunate enough to own one, right?
Yeah.
How many miles are we? I don't look. What are we at now?
You're at 3,200 miles.
Not bad.
No.
My girlfriend, on the way home from Cars and Coffee, usually takes a nap, and when she falls asleep, which I couldn't believe that you could fall asleep in this, but she does.
You could.
I pop it over into auto mode, turn off PDK, turn off the valves.
Yeah.
And or close the valves. It's comfy.
Dude,
it's a nice car.
It's super, super comfortable. And I recently drove the GT4 RS, and one of the biggest things between a lot of the car testers, and I'm sure you can attest to this as well, the GT4 RS is much stiffer than this car. And sometimes, okay, you read something on a paper, I think it's this is 30% less stiff than the GT4 RS. I don't know.
Something like that.
I don't know the exact number. And usually you hear that and okay, yeah, it's just like you don't really believe it or you don't really feel it. But I can actually feel how much softer and more geared towards actual road driving this car is.
Yeah, it's
much, much more comfortable.
You can genuinely feel it, be it compared to a 992 GT3, GT4 RS,
much stiffer.
They are significantly stiffer. And for me, I don't plan on tracking this.
You could track it very well, though.
You could, but I bought it just as a cruiser, go to some shows and enjoy the exhaust and that sort of thing. Back road, we like the back roads, but track maybe not so much for this car. And for that, it is perfectly suited to even New England roads, which suck, and it's fine. I mean,
it's really good.
We've been hitting a bunch of bumps, and it's not too bad. It's not that.
No, it's very
bad
comfortable
for an RS car.
No, and you can tell that they very much wanted to gear this towards the, I would say, the non-racer or the backroads enthusiast like yourself. So with my Boxster, okay, 25-year difference, but one of the biggest joys of my Boxster is going through the manual transmission. And I've often said in other videos how much I enjoy shifting manual, like I know you do as well.
Yeah.
But I think that this engine paired with the PDK gearbox is more usable than it would be in, say, a GT4 with the stick, where you really have to rev it out and your gear ratios are much longer.
So I'll tell you a funny story. When this car and the 4RS before it came out,
yep.
If there was one hater of them on planet Earth, it was me. In our group chats and whatnot, I would be spewing hatred to, who would do that? It needs a manual. What are you thinking? Who, why, what? That's ridiculous. A PDK, come on, you gotta enjoy the car. And now I own one. And I daily drive a manual car. Everything else that I've owned has been a manual transmission. And I don't want to like the PDK. And I like the PDK. I don't know what it is, but
that's what everybody says.
It's just so perfectly suited for this car.
It's really good.
I like it. Now, if this was available in a manual, would I have ordered it? Absolutely. But I can't say that I miss it. I really can't.
As I drive it, I'm not missing it. Been fortunate to drive the 718 25th anniversary edition with a manual transmission, and that's actually featured on this channel where you can watch that video. But you would never be able to shift it as perfectly as the PDK does. And it's funny, I mean, I always contradict myself about how I'm always like, oh, you know, I'm this big manual shifting enthusiast. But when you can go through the gears like that, I mean, it's just so much fun. I mean, it's like you have a musical instrument at your fingertips, and I guess your right foot as well, but...
It's funny you say that. I jokingly, when cruising around sometimes, I begin messing around and playing the instrument of my 4-liter flat 6, and it's so good. It really is. It's fantastic. And I've never caught it off guard. Even just doing like weird,
it's really surgical.
Yeah, it just knows.
Yeah. I think Porsche and Ferrari have the best dual clutch gearboxes.
I agree with you.
That's like a cheat code. That's so good.
You can grab another downshift too. I downshift at like 60 something hundred, and you think you're gonna blow it up, but
that's so good.
It takes it.
It's so good.
It's so much fun. I'm glad that you're enjoying it as much as I
God.
do.
I mean, that's amazing.
It's so dumb, but it's so much fun. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of people say, 200 grand for a Boxster, like what the hell? It's a lot of money. But I would buy this over a GT3. I would, and I did.
Yeah.
This is what this does it for me. Because you know what you can't do in a GT3? Nail it. And you can do that. You can downshift, and it's fine.
It's so good.
It's so much fun. Sometimes if I'm feeling a little stressed or a little annoyed or something, we take the top down and we go for a little drive. And I cannot recall a time where I came back home and I was mad still.
Dude,
it's so fun.
And that's when I don't ever really like describe myself as a convertible person. I don't know if you would exactly call this a convertible, but I'm a huge motorcycle guy, and that's the biggest thing for me is when you're stressed or you're in a certain type of way, and you can get on your motorcycle and you can really take in the world through the visor of the helmet, and you get all the sensations of the wind and the sound and the smells. it's very similar to this, and I think that's why I enjoy the Boxster platform so much, because it's really two cars in one. I mean, I guess in this case, with the top, and we'll show that a little bit later, you really have three cars in one.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so great about them, and it's so refreshing to see how far they've come in the last 25 years. You drive my car, and it's so much fun, and you're really enjoying yourself, but you can see how they restricted it. You know, it takes a little bit to get to red line. The flywheel is heavy. Once you're in the power band, it's great, but it takes a little bit to get there.
Yeah.
Whereas they didn't sacrifice anything with this car, and you can really feel that. And it's so nice that they actually went ahead and did all this. Even with the GT4, it's like, oh, this is finally a car that can be better than a 911. But even GT4 is like, you can still tell that it's restricted. This is not.
So it's one of those things that if the Cayman Boxster platform is coming to an end, or the Cayman Boxster platform that we know, right? I guess going EV, maybe, who knows, right? At the current day, but what a good way to go out. I mean, oh my goodness. This is just such a fantastic car, and I have made some friends since picking it up that have multiple Porsches and multiple cars and whatnot, and everyone just loves these things. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just so good.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that. I think it is that.
It's so good, dude. It's such a good car. It might be one of the best cars I've ever driven. It's like a scalpel. It's so good.
I live 15 seconds away from the Porsche dealer that I bought this from. And in the time it took me to leave the Porsche store, get to one traffic light, and then turn into my neighborhood, I thought to myself, oh my God, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. And I'll tell you what, so I've had the privilege of putting a little over 3,000 miles on it this summer. I have not gotten bored of it once. I have not. So before I bought this car, for over a year, I was looking for a 458, my childhood dream car.
Yes.
That's what I wanted. This happened, and now I own it. And
this is better than a 458.
The test of how much I like this car was, can I drive it and own it and not daydream of being in a 458? I have not thought about it.
No.
I haven't. And that's no insult to that car. But this car, I can trust that it won't break. Hop in, it's ready to go, it's fine. I can park it outside, my dashboard's not gonna peel. Again, it's fine, I get it. But it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a big sound guy.
Yes. I'm not knocking the whole EV thing, but that's the biggest thing for me. And I think Hyundai gets it right with like the Ioniq 5N, where they pump in the sounds. And we were talking to Matt Farah about this when he was on our podcast, and he was like, yeah, like Hyundai did it really well with the Ioniq 5N. And he's like, that's what Porsche should be doing with their electric platform. You know, they have one of the largest catalogs of sounds, right? You know, they could use the sound from this car and pump it in.
Yeah. Obviously,
it will never be as good as the real thing, but at least they can get somewhat close. Yeah, the EVs are fun. They're super fast, but it's not, it lacks that soul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's funny to think that a mechanical object or machine could have so much personality, if you will.
Yeah.
But this thing really does, and that's my other gripe with Porsche, because I've never been a Porsche guy. This is unlike me to buy one of these. I never got it, right? I like cars with some flair, personality, whatnot. Italian cars.
Yeah.
I own a few Vespas. I like the Italian
I know you
machines.
love the Vespa. My dad loves your Vespa.
And man, this thing is alive. It's so good.
It really is alive.
And it's funny because I would tell you that I bought it going into it unbiased, but I was biased but I was biased into not liking it. This sounds ridiculous because why would you buy a car that you don't want to like? But I had to do it. It was that sticker, whatever I wanted to see. And I've fallen in love with it. It's so good.
Dude, I'm falling in love with it too.
It's so good.
I might have to steal it from you.
Please do. It's yours anytime you want it.
That's very nice of you. We were just talking about the steering. If you drive a 981 Boxster or even a 991 Porsche, was the first generations that they went to the electronic steering and they got rid of the hydraulic steering. This, of course, in the 718 does have electronic steering, but I can say, and I think you attest to this as well, the electronic steering in this car, I would say, is like 98% of what it would be with hydraulic steering.
They know what they're doing.
They do know what they're doing.
I don't know if the steering is as direct as what we're about to pass up here, but we'll
That's
have
very
to see.
true. So we're in a Porsche and we're about to pass a
Ferrari. That
Ferrari.
is a prancing horse right there.
That is a prancing horse.
Should we close the
Hello.
respectable neighbors?
My God. One of my favorite things about Porsche, you drive any of them, and they've done a really good job across their brand lineage of feeling how the steering wheel weights up when you're in the corner, and you can kind of feel the weight transfer. And this car does a good job of that as well.
Absolutely. Anytime someone posts a Spider RS video, right? There's two trains of thought that are negative. First one, I hate the top. Who would buy it? The top is awful, right? It's not my daily driver, and I like that I can have the top in 3 different forms, so I don't really mind, or the car in 3 different ways. It doesn't bother me. Second train of thought is, oh my goodness, it's so much money for a Boxster. People pay 600 grand, whatever, $1 million for a 911. I get it. It's got the whole lineage. It's got a lot of, I'm not discounting that. But if that can have that, surely this can have some sort of value to it too. And I like it. Yeah. I feel like 911s have gotten, even if they weigh similar, it just feels so big.
Yeah.
But we've got, we're in, right? The engine's there. It's with us. And I like that. I really do.
You know, you also have to think, the Boxster saved Porsche, that and the Cayenne. So two different cars that don't really go along with the whole Porsche lineage, right? I mean, they literally would have gone bankrupt if it wasn't for the Boxster and the Cayenne.
You're right.
And people have always said, oh, the Boxster is so good, I wish it had the capabilities of a 911. And this has the capabilities of a 911. I mean, I would argue that this is more fun than a 911. I have to say, in the sunlight, this car looks pretty good. What paint to sample blue is this?
So it's a paint to sample color called Azzurro Thetis. It was the launch color for the Aventador Roadster.
Really?
Yeah, very interesting.
Okay.
And I had never seen it before, and I got the call that our local dealer got an allocation for a Spider RS, and I am a huge paint sample fan. And I had always told them, hey, I'll get a car, I'd love to do it, but it's got to be PTS.
Yep.
It's just my thing, right? Yep. And so they called me, and they said, hey, we've got a PTS slot ready to go. Start deciding on colors. I said, okay. And I was between this color and Meissen Blue.
Okay.
Historical Porsche color.
Yep.
And then I go to the dealership, and I'm sitting with them, and they say, oh, my God, we're so sorry. The paint sample is already locked, and we can't change it. You don't have to take the car, whatever you should have the joy of picking your own color and whatnot. I said, well, what is it? They said, and they're reading, he goes, I can't even pronounce it. I go, Azzurro Thetis? And they're like, yeah. They go, done. So they made the decision for me somehow. The Porsche powers that be.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad it was this. It is such an interesting color. It goes from silver to blue. It's very hard to tell over pictures or videos what it really looks like.
Very, very true. And you had this car on display. Well, I've seen it. The first couple times I saw it was actually at nighttime, and it did look a little bit more silvery gray at night. But you had this on display at the gathering, which was super cool to see it in the back there at Rough Point, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and to see the sun shining on it, and just the flake in the paint. I mean,
it's very cool. Thank you guys for having me. It was a fantastic time.
No, I mean,
I will never
nice
forget that event. It's a very interesting color for a very interesting car, I would say.
Yeah.
It's funny, these don't get the amount of praise that I feel like they should. And I get it, it's not setting Nürburgring lap times, it's not whatever, right? But man, for a car that you can use all the time, I love it. You've got a trunk in the front and the back, and we jam it with bags, and we go, and we drive, and we explore, and it's so... Never gets old.
My God. With the color of this car,
yes,
you also have the YSAC package that's been optioned.
Yes.
Did you have to pay extra, or is there an option like behind closed doors where you can keep the front body colored? Because with the YSAC package, you get those carbon stripes. So
that is a free option now to get it painted.
Oh, okay.
So the YSAC pack itself, if you get paint to sample on the 718 RS cars, if you get paint to sample, they make you get the YSAC pack. So I didn't have a choice on that. And oddly enough, I probably wouldn't have gotten it if it wasn't forced upon me, but it is what it is. Right? They got a nickel and dime you, I guess. I'm like 70 years old at heart, and I don't like too much exposed carbon, and I thought with the color and the silver wheels, I didn't think that having a carbon hood would, or frunk, or whatever panel you want to call it, would kind of fit with the type of spec that I'm going with. So I had it painted, and it's funny, I haven't seen many that have had them painted, but when I do take it places, people will comment and be like, I like that.
Yeah.
Classy choice. And, oh, thank you. I have to say, it has been such a blessing. It is such a humbling experience to be able to do it and to own this car and to share it with people. I mean, I don't take it lightly.
Yeah,
it is so incredible, and I will forever remember this part of my life in this car. And it's hopefully I can keep it for life. But
I think we've been having enough fun for a while here. Noah, thank you so much for letting me drive this car.
Absolutely, my friend. Anytime.
Back to my original question. You know, what is the ultimate version of the Boxster like? I mean, I'm sure you could see how much fun we've had. I mean, this is, as Jay Leno would say, the most fun that you can have with your clothes on. You know? I mean, this is, what a great car. I mean, truly an amazing, amazing car.